Ladies and gentlemen, Dominique James has just run her 100th marathon!
Yay!
Now Dominique, how long ago did you run your first ever marathon?
Exactly 10 years.
It was exactly 10 years to the day, so the 17th of April 2016, Brighton I believe, towed the marathon line for the very first time and ran your first marathon. Here we are today, exactly 10 years later, which is 3,653 days. And you might say, well, hold on a minute, 365 days in a year times 10, but there's 2 leap years in there, and then you have to count the bit between the start date and the finish date as a day. So 3653 is your unique PIN number. So a fraction over 3,650 days to run 100 marathons is awesome. But it's not actually your marathons I thought I might talk about today, because you clearly have a penchant for the longer distances, because within that 100 count, it's quite usual, I say, in a very unusual world of running 100 marathons, for some people to have races in their 100 count that are longer than marathon. We call it ultra marathons. But you have quite an inordinate number of ultra marathons within your 100 count. So let's start with the 50 milers, shall we? Why wouldn't we? So there's 4 or 5 of those, 4 I think in your count. 50 miles is a very long way. And then there's a 62 miler and a 72 miler, both of which I think were run on the track over there. They were certainly run at track walls, and there's an indoor track wall in there as well. So 3 track runs, 62, 72, and then just to get the distances properly up, 100.2 miles run on the track, which leads me nicely onto the 100-mile races. And I should probably point out, for anybody that perhaps isn't educated in the etiquette of marathon running, is that when you run 100 marathons, and some of those are ultra marathons, they still only count as one. So if you run 52.6 miles, 52.4 miles should I say, you can't count that as 2 marathons. So there's 100 individual runs in there. 9 of those are 100 milers, but it doesn't stop at 100 miles, because obviously that's not far enough. So there are also, I think, 3 runs in there, actually more than 3 that are over 100, but 3 that are significantly over 100, because you got into the Grand Union Canal races. Again, for those of you that don't know, there are some Grand Union canals in this country, and they're quite long, and you've run along 3 of them, I think. So there's a 135 miler in there, there's a 145 miler in there, and the longest one of all was 149 miles. I'm surprised you didn't have a mile on at the end, to be fair. But yeah, so there are some awesomely long runs in there. And actually, I had a look through, and I think probably half a dozen of your super long runs we've got to witness here at our ultras. So some of them on the track, which you've already talked about, and then some. One I remember in particular actually was when you ran 100 miles at Denby's at our summer festival, and Carl Bicknell, who runs with you and came along and run with you. I don't know whether it was his first 100 miler, it might have been, but I remember you running the 100 miles, making it look quite a bit easier than perhaps Carl made it look, bless him. But he got round his 100 miler, and I got a lovely moment actually, a photograph somewhere of you 2 guys having a big hug at the finish line. And I'm absolutely sure if Carl were here, he'd be saying that you were probably the reason he got round that 100 miles. So, and you make it look so easy, and you finish marathons, and you finish 100 miles looking like this, which is just as good as when you started. So amazing. So we have a few accolades to commemorate today, and to also say thank you for choosing number 100 with us. And I should probably point out that whilst we've got to see you run quite a lot of ultra runs with us, 32 is the number of Phoenix runs in that 100 count. So whole chunk of marathon. So to be exactly a third? I don't know. The numbers are pretty good with 10 years to the day. So we have a set of Phoenix wings, which are in the 100 marathon block colours. So that is to say, a little thank you for choosing to run number 100 with us. We have a commemorative number, which has got lots of signatures and well wishes on. So pretty much everyone who's come along today has put a little message on there for you. So I will carefully pass that over. And then finally we have the highly coveted 100 marathon baton. Prepare to receive. Are you ready? There we go. The baton. And there's a little stand to go with that. So Huge congratulations, Dom, on running 100 marathons. It's an amazing achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, Dom James, 100